Вітаю. Сьогоднішній наш гість дуже відомий дослідник світового рівня Джейсон Саул. Джейсон Саул є професором Чикагського університету. Він протягом багатьох років вивчає проблему соціальних впливів, проблему, яким чином некомерційні організації можуть залучати фінансування для своїх соціальних проєктів. Він є автором величезної кількості дуже популярних книжок, серед яких можна згадати книжку, зокрема, «Кінець фандрейзингу» і «Корпорація. Соціальний вплив». Тобто це один із найсерйозніших дослідників соціального впливу в світі, який зараз працює. Джейсон, крім всього іншого, став одним із ініціаторів проєкту «Геном впливу», Impact Genome, який вже понад 8 років займається тим, що допомагає некомерційним організаціям оцінювати, яким чином правильно оцінювати їхній вплив їхніх соціальних проєктів і потім залучати фінансування для цього. Ми дуже раді, що Джейсон Саул разом з своїми партнерами створив ярмарку соціальних результатів і саме почав з України. В Україні ця ярмарка соціальних результатів почала працювати. Зараз соціальні програми, які впроваджуються українськими некомерційними організаціями, мають можливість залучити додаткове фінансування. Цю розмову ми розміщуємо на нашому каналі. Джейсон Саул є співзасновником компанії Outcomes X, яка, власне, буде модерувати, управляти ярмарком соціальних результатів. Джейсон сьогодні наш гість. Ми будемо розмовляти, звичайно, англійською мовою. Ми викладемо на нашому каналі як оригінальну версію інтерв'ю, а через кілька днів ми викладемо потім уже з перекладом для тих, хто цікавить. Now I'm switch to English. Hello, Jason. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again, sorry. For many years, you are researching social change, and you are trying to find the best metrics, how to measure it. What is the main challenge in evaluating the results of social programs for now?
It's great to be here, Dima, and thank you for doing this. I understood 2 words from your Ukrainian introduction. One was problem, and the other was popular.
Fundraising.
So, exactly, fundraising. There we go. The biggest challenge in measuring impact is similar to other major challenges we've tried to solve in biology, in finance, and in most of the other sciences. It's the project of heterogeneity. That's a fancy word for saying everything is different. Mm-hmm. Every nonprofit is its own snowflake, as they like to say in the US. So how could you possibly measure anything in any common way when every single program is operating in a different context with different people to do different things? So that's the challenge that we face.
What you were one of the founders and initiators of Impact Genome Project. Why did you start it? Why do you think that we need to compare the results of different social programs?
It's really important for 2 reasons. One, primarily, you have millions of charities around the world doing really important work, and they cannot get rewarded because there's no way to communicate their results in a way that is commonly understood. So the first driver of our work is to help nonprofits be able to satisfy the expectations of donors and governments that they are actually delivering on their mission. And without that ability, there are huge issues of trust for nonprofits. It's harder to raise money for nonprofits. It's difficult to have people working day and night for an organization where you don't even know if you're making a difference. So it's it's urgent that we help nonprofits measure, but more importantly, communicate the impact they're having. The second reason why it's really important to measure and compare organizations is that if you're dealing with funders, governments, and large donors, there's only two ways to influence their decision. One is emotional, and the other is rational. Right now, we influence their decisions emotionally. We meet them at parties, we network through them through social media, we use our reputation, we show pictures and stories and try to pull at heartstrings and ask for people to be compassionate. But that's why it's so expensive for nonprofits to raise money, is because we're using all of these emotional tactics, which is very expensive. And so as a result, we have to talk to thousands of people to get 20 of them to give us money, because all we have is emotion. And as a result, the cost for nonprofits to raise money is crazy. It's crazy high. It's something like a minimum of $20 for every $100 raised, to as much as $120 for every $100 raised, for doing all these big mailing campaigns and research and technology. It's highly inefficient because we're fundraising based on emotion. The other way to convince donors to give us money is to use reason and facts and rational thinking. And the only way we can do that is by having our results and showing them in a way that is both absolute in terms of the impact we're having and relative in terms of comparing to other options. In most cases for nonprofits, there's not that many other options. If you look at what's going on in Ukraine and the philanthropic sector, there's not 40 charities operating in the same context for the same people. There's probably only a few, or if even one, that's trying to solve a problem in a particular area. And so it isn't just about comparability, it's about showing facts and influencing donors so that they know what they're getting when they give you money.
Moreover, in Ukraine, we don't have too many charities. We are working mostly with government bilateral organizations like USAID, SIDA, European Commission entities, and so on.
But even that, Dima, let me just say at one point, even on that, when it's not like there's so many charities to choose from like there are in the US, but even when there's only one, there's another reason why nonprofits want to be able to have a way to measure and report their impact. Because if we can actually communicate the actual price, what it costs a nonprofit to help somebody, then when we're raising money from governments or from funders, instead of saying, we just need some money, please give us whatever you can, we can say, well, what impact do you want to buy from us? Oh, you want to help 500 people get access to education for their kids. Well, the price of our impact is $1,000 per family, whatever the cost is. So now if you want to help 500, I as a nonprofit can speak like a legitimate economic supplier. I'm producing a product called impact, and I can say it cost me $1,000 and I'm helping 500 families, therefore I need $500,000. And so it is empowering for the nonprofit to know their cost of result and the value of that, so that when they're talking to donors, even if there's no other choices, they can make the case for the right funding.
I remember Carol Weiss, in her book about evaluation of social programs, she wrote something like that social programs is so complicated entities, which includes, I don't know, great ideas, enthusiasm, but also a lot of reporting, a lot of budgeting, a lot of paper, copy machines, and so on. So what I mean that how you are going to standardize the results of so different projects, which are implemented by absolutely different people from different areas, public health and culture. It's an absolutely different background of people and so.
All right, let's talk about that, right? So let's talk about a bigger problem. How would we possibly compare two individuals? One is in America, one's in Ukraine. One of them wears glasses and has blue eyes. The other has gray hair and brown eyes and lives in Chicago. One's wearing a blue shirt and has a yellow background. This person has a family. That one has a dog. This one has this illness that runs in their family. I mean, it's completely crazy. How would we ever compare two different people? But if we look at the elementary constitution of people, if we look at the actual components of our constitution, we are all based on the same genes, on the same DNA. And we can sequence and compare people based on their DNA because there's enough research that identifies, okay, there's 80,000 chromosomes or whatever it is, and there's only so many different genes. And so if Dima can spit in a cup and send it in, and Jason can do that, we can compare two completely different organisms. If we can do that for people, we can do that for nonprofits, and it works in the same way. If you think about the components of a nonprofit, just anatomically, generically, every nonprofit does a set of activities, right? What we call an intervention. Those activities might be providing food or providing blankets or providing counseling or a mentor or having a teacher be a babysitter or translating language or whatever activities that are part of our intervention. So we have a set of activities, a bundle of activities. That's one part of how a nonprofit works. We then inject those activities into a context and deliver them to a set of people in anticipation of a desired result, right? So we have activities, beneficiaries who are receiving the intervention. We have a context. Is it happening in church? Is it happening at school? Is it happening at home? Is it happening in a hospital? And then we have a desired result. All four of those aspects can be standardized. The intervention, I listed some of them, but there's only a finite set of things. If we're trying to get someone not be hungry, there's only a certain number of things that we're going to do. Teach them cooking classes, provide them food, give them government assistance, give them nutritious food, give them nutrition advice, help them learn how to make food more affordably. Whatever it is, there's a finite set of activities that can all be standardized. And how you do them may be different. How you deliver them, this one's delivered by a chef, this one's delivered by a mother, but there's a set of activities. We're teaching the people how to cook and we're giving them free food. And then the context is there's only so many different places that these things would take place. And the beneficiaries, there's only so many different kinds of people. So when you break it down into the intervention strategies, the beneficiary who's receiving the activities, the context, and the desired change, all of those things can be normalized and standardized. And what makes nonprofits unique is not that they're trying to achieve outcomes that no one's ever heard of. Getting somebody to be food secure or not hungry is a very known, boring, common outcome. You don't have to make that special. How you implement your strategy, your special sauce, your technique, the way your leadership operates, how you deliver that is what's unique. But the things that you're doing are probably not that unusual. And the people that you're giving to it are probably not that unusual. And the goal or the outcome that you're trying to achieve is not that unusual. So all those things can be standardized and turned into codes. What makes the nonprofit unique is how they do it, their magic approach, their leadership, their style, and also their track record, their history, their reputation, and things like that. So the key elements of any nonprofit can easily be organized and structured in a way that we can make it comparable.
So the traditional approach to fundraising is a lot of trade shows, I don't know, social marketing. I work for UNICEF, and I know that UNICEF has the engine of social marketing, you know, these postcards, a lot of souvenirs, goodwill ambassadors, films, books, and so on. So this traditional approach requires a lot of money, and as you say, and now you propose practically other approach to fundraising. One of your book even calls has a name, I like it, the name, The End of Fundraising. Can we say that we are actually witnessing a remarkable shift in the paradigm of social project funding?
Yes, we are. And there's only one reason why that shift is taking place. The reason is because social outcomes now have real economic value. It's not just an optional nice thing to do anymore. Outcomes are necessary. They're necessary to create jobs, to stabilize families, to educate people, to be able to reduce conflict. Those outcomes are incredibly valuable economically to governments and to societies. And so in an earlier era, maybe 50 or 75 years ago, when the world was less complicated, doing good was just a nice thing to do. No one really there was no interdependence on social impact. Now, governments will be overthrown if social impact is not achieved. Companies will not be able to compete if they are not creating social impact for their employees or creating positive social impacts for their consumers. It is a huge part of our economy now. As a result, because the market values social outcomes and values the impacts that we all thought was just the right thing to do, we were doing it anyway because it was morally correct. Now that there's economic value, we can fundraise differently. We don't need to beg people. We don't need to only hold galas and fundraising dinners and hire ambassadors and show pictures, because people need these outcomes to happen. So they are treating us as suppliers. They are treating us as basically businesses with a cause. We are businesses that are producing a product called impact, and they want to buy it because they need it to take place. And so that shift in society to valuing social change, the whole bigger movement in the investing world around ESG, environmental, social, and governance ratings on companies, is basically saying investors want companies that are doing good. They want to invest in companies that are having a positive impact on society. So this information is critical. As a result, we can change the way we fundraise now because we don't have to base it purely on emotion. We can base it on production. Here's our results. Here's the impact we produce. Do you want to buy it? Do you want to pay for it? And so that is giving us permission to create a new economy for nonprofits where their work is valued, it can be paid for, and it can be turned into a market where we can find all the people who want to buy jobs and pay for jobs, and all the nonprofits that are creating that, or all the people that want to pay for educating kids, and all the nonprofits that educate kids, and we can connect buyers and sellers instead of what we do today, which is running around to fundraising dinners or sending letters or emails or knocking on doors. That is an incredible waste of time for people that are doing the most important work in the world. So there's a new market reality that is inviting us to change the way we fundraise.
So at the end, your advice to nonprofits, what they should do to be able to attract enough resources for their programs for now?
My advice to nonprofits is do both, old and new. Don't stop taking money the old way. If people are going to give it to you, take it. But engage in a different way of fundraising at the same time. And what that requires is two simple things. One, register with a registry. Right now, we have introduced a new registry called the Impact Genome Registry. It is free for nonprofits. Register so that you can explain what your impact is and people can find you. And then two, be open to taking money that is paying you for the work that you're doing in terms of your results, and not just take money up front and be paid for the emotion, right? Like, be open to transacting in a different way, which is a more respectful way, which is you're promising to deliver certain results, and people are going to pay you for the good results that you're producing. So it's very simple. You don't have to be a measurement expert. You don't have to hire a PhD or an academic. You literally just need to be able to sign up for a registry. In our case, we're recommending the Impact Genome Registry, which is free, which will help you communicate what impact you have and verify it so that you can sell it or connect to people who want to pay you to do your work. It's much like any of these two-sided markets you see online, whether it's LinkedIn, if you want to put your resume out there and an employer wants to find you, or whether it's some of the job sites where you're an expert and you can list your expertise, and then the people who are looking for graphic designers or lawyers can find you. It's a matching program that allows you to register your profile and the results that you're able to produce and match you to the people who want those results from you.
Thank you very much for this meeting. Very, very valuable thoughts, and I am sure that our Ukrainian non-profits will benefit from your opinion.
I will end in saying, Dima, just that it is not a coincidence that Ukraine and the Ukrainian nonprofits are the first nonprofits in the world to test this. You are a people that is innovative, that are survivors, and that are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And this is appropriate that Ukraine is pioneering this new approach where we can get you money faster. We can do a lot of the fundraising for you and help the organizations on the ground make a big difference. So it's an honor to be able to work with the Ukrainian charitable sector because they are rightfully the first adopters of this new approach.
Thank you very much.